Morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good, how you?
Good, good. Just gonna wait for people to log on. Hopefully, everybody's doing okay.
Tina, ¿cómo está?
In the meantime, just while we wait for people to come in the chat, just put your name, your organization, and how much snow you got in your neck of the woods.
Hi, Juan. I'm sorry. What was the last part? So your name, your organization.
It was just how much snow did you get where you live? Because I was
Oh,
talking to a lot of people recently where it's like, oh, we got a lot of snow.
okay.
Um, but I feel like most people, at least here, live in the city or near. So it's like
Okay.
less than 2 inches. Like that's what we got to here in
Oh, okay. All
Aussie.
right. Thank you.
No problem.
Get my other notebook.
All right, we got 20 people now. So maybe get another minute or two, but checking in on a few things uh, for everybody, making sure everyone's doing all right. I know classes have started. Most of our part institutions already. So hopefully, students are doing well with at drop, um, and everyone. No one had to shovel too much snow, so that's good. Uh, if you have folks in New York, I hope they're okay because I know they got a ton of snow this week. So couple updates for us. I think Karen is here. Yeah, okay. So I know we have the uAspire training coming up in May, but I know Karen wanted a few minutes to give us some updates from uAspire on some resources. So I'll let you take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Juan. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you all are aware of a couple of new resources that we have available that you can share with your students. And I have an email draft to send to you all right after this meeting, so don't worry about taking notes. But one thing is I will be sending you a flyer of a bunch of financial aid events that we have coming up. We have like a FAFSA walkthrough, and after the FAFSA walkthrough, a CSS profile walkthrough. So these are events you can send students to if they're like feeling nervous about filling things out and could use an overview. And so it's sort of like webinar style, like they'll be sort of taught like the main components that you need to know about how to fill these things out, and there's Q&A as well. So that's one option. If you don't have time to meet with all of your students, if you want to send them to some of those walkthroughs. Also, we recently finalized compiling a uAspire like scholarship list. So this is just what we send to students if they're like, I really want to apply to scholarships. And I think what could be helpful for this group is there's like a specific link for Massachusetts post-secondary students. So as you know, like a lot of scholarships are just available to the high school students. So I'm sending that link in the chat, and it'll be in the email as well. So if you have students saying they want to apply for scholarships for next year, you can direct them to that as a way for them to not have to like, go out into the large universe of scholarships. And if you have, I'm kind of managing that right now. So if you have questions or suggestions of scholarships I should add, please let me know. And Juan, I have been looking at the scholarships you've been sending through, and I will add those as well once I get around to updating it. And then another thing I wanted you all to know about is we have a new free tool called the College Cost Calculator, which maybe has been mentioned to you in other places. But if people are familiar, in the past, we have like an award letter analyzer. It's basically a tool that lets students plug in how much financial aid they're getting from different schools, and it analyzes it. So this is our new tool, though, that is completely online, and it's free and open to the public. So you all can use it, your students can use it. They can plug in the information they get about how much aid they're being offered, and it can show them their estimated bill. And it helps sort of teach them also like the different types of financial aid, like what is a loan, like what is scholarships. So I will have like more guidance and information about this tool, like kind of like a little bit of a walkthrough video for you to show you how to use it. But it is open already. So if you wanted to look around, you can make an account, your students can make an account. I think it's a really helpful resource. I think for post-secondary students, it sort of depends because it's really helpful to compare lots of different schools. So for the high school students or for students who are planning to transfer who are comparing different schools, it can be really helpful. But I do think it's also helpful even just to put in one school's information to understand, okay, this is my financial aid, this is like the bill, so this is how much it'll cost me in the end. And then one final resource, we got funding from the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation that allows us to provide a free resource to students around mental health. And I know this is like a big concern for us this year, that students need mental health support more than ever, and it's not really available. Through this funding that we have, it's through this organization called ComPsych, where they can provide up to 3 free counseling sessions per student and anyone in their household, anyone in that student's household. And this is from master's level clinicians. So I will be sending the flyer. We'd like to share this with our partners because we know there's a lot of overlap of the students we serve at uAspire and students that you work with. So when I send it, there's a list of the high schools, the Boston Public High Schools, and some surrounding high schools like Malden, Somerville, CRLS, that if you have students who go to those high schools or went to those high schools, you can send them this resource because we figured that that's where our overlap is within those schools. So yeah, it's a free mental health resource, and they also, I think, provide referrals. So I believe that even, if they finish the sessions, they'll still be referred to other resources that they may need. Yeah, so this is awesome, and we hope you share it with as many students as fit, like within the criteria on that list, and reach out to me with any questions. It's new for us, so I don't know perfectly everything about how they function and like what they feel about them yet, so I'm still learning some of that, but hopefully it'll be helpful to you all. So yeah, those are all my things, and I'll send it all via email.
Thank you, Karen. That sounds really amazing, especially the scholarship one. I know students are always looking for scholarships. There's always a million things to look at. So I think having one resource for that, and the mental health opportunities, that's awesome. That's amazing. Does anyone have any questions about that or any other things? I know Joelle put in the chat a financial aid offer organizer. Would that just be something else that uAspire could work on?
No, I was just saying that the award letter is not being used anymore. It's financial aid offer.
Got it. Okay.
I have a quick question regarding mental health. Does that include, do you know if that includes like counseling?
Yes, so it's 3 counseling sessions. So yeah, it's mental health counseling, and there's some other services they provide as well. There's some legal, some financial services, but I thought the most probably pressing one for most people who they're referring students to is the mental health counseling. So yeah.
Last question. So is it like group counseling or individual?
It's one-on-one counseling with a master's level position. And they have to fill out an intake form first, and they get matched with somebody, basically.
Is there a limit?
Thanks.
Karen?
Get this information?
Karen, is there a limit to the number of students that can get this resource on the mental health?
The limit we have is high enough that I'm not concerned that we're going to reach that. So as long as you only refer students who fall into the categories I sent, the certain BPS schools and the certain schools outside of Boston, either that they attended or they're attending now, I don't think that we're going to hit the limit. So
Great, thank
basically
you.
no.
Thank you.
Do they have to email someone or they just have to fill out the intake form?
So it's a phone number that they call and they do the intake over the phone. So they'll be asked like a series of questions, and that will be in the flyer. They have the number that they can call.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karen, for those updates. Next up, we have just updates from our partner colleges. I know Bunker Hill, I know Kate, you're here. Are there any things that you want to go over? I know you sent over the monthly messages, but if there's anything else that you want to go over, we can do that.
Yeah, the messages I sent you, along with the fact that because of the snow, we had some extensions. Add drop. I just want to make sure I'm telling you the exactly right things. Add drop's been moved to tomorrow, so students still have the opportunity to add or drop for full semester courses, mini session 1, and the web late starts. Those are all extended until tomorrow. And the bill due date has been moved for the spring semester to Tuesday, February 9th. So that's pretty much it that I heard this morning based on the snow. So please let your students know that. And I don't have my list I sent you, Juan, but are you sending that out?
Yep, I got them. I think a lot of them are pretty, I think the ones you have are a lot more pertinent right now, especially the ad drop being updated and the bill due for sure. The other ones are making sure that students know their advisors at Bunker Hill, the importance of getting students to know their faculty, especially virtually.
I can't stress that enough, that to let students know, email their professors, get a relationship going now, because at the end of last semester, you know, we did have a lot of students who had never been in touch with their professors, and especially in the remote world, please have them check in and start a relationship with their professors. The professors are trying, but I know there's been some real issues where it's been challenging. And so if they start now at the beginning of the semester to just have a online relationship with their professors, a lot of them are trying to do virtual office hours. So encourage them to go, just to say hi, just so they can see their face. If the student isn't comfortable putting their camera on in the classroom situation, maybe one-on-one in the office situation they can, and that's going to make a big difference to the professors, that they have a face to associate with the student. Chris wants to know how we should approach situations where professors aren't responding to students. Definitely let me know. At Bunker Hill, the route would be, you know, give the professor 2-3 times, and if they don't respond, you can go up to the dean who's over the professor and let them know. And let's do that early, because again, the earlier we do it, the more we can nip that in the bud. And if the dean comes to the professor and says, please, respond to this student, it's going to carry more weight than us doing it. So I can send out that flow chart of who reports to who, what classes report to what deans. I'll make a note of that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I know sometimes you got to go above the professor, especially when, like Chris mentioned, if professors aren't responding to students. I know that's been it's been tough. I feel like it depends on the professor and the relationship with the student. Some people feel like, oh, it's not our job to be the people who have to support the student. We're just here to teach. We're not here to do the other stuff.
I've actually been in some meetings with professors who are inundated with emails, and they're admitting, I know I'm falling down. I'm inundated. Have the students send a return receipt maybe on the email. Have the students keep copies. If you want to set up folders, to encourage them to set up folders in their Outlook where they can maybe have each class. So they have a running record too. So if they're going to the dean, they can have a copy. I've emailed 3 times and I haven't heard back. But I do know on the professor's end too, that a lot of them are really overwhelmed, like we all are. So
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
In case so one professor has surgery, so should we wait? Should the student wait a little bit longer?
Is she teaching class?
There's some issues with the grades. Few students have issues with the grades, and one of the students emailing her for a while now. I think more than twice. So should the student give her extra time because she says she had surgery?
I would shoot me an email about that. Pardon?
She's recovering right now, so
Okay.
the student's still waiting on response.
Yeah, the grades and all should all be in. So send me an email and we can find out exactly what the student should do.
Yeah, the grade is in, but she messed it up. She messed up some of the grades for the students. So and she keeps switching it. So
yeah, there's an appeal process if they're not comfortable with the grade. And
okay.
So send me an email and we'll definitely make sure, because you don't want to let it go too long.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I know Ben Franklin. I don't know if anyone's here from Ben Franklin Institute of Tech, but their class started last week. Their online tutoring center just opened this week on the 1st. So if students need some support academically, they can access that. I'll send over the link in the notes afterward. Actually, I wonder if I can do it now. There you go. That's the Academic Success Center, and students can log in to get some tutoring, and then making sure that students are just able to access financial aid and some scholarships because there are still funds available for students. So if you have any BFIT students, make sure they talk with a financial aid counselor. And I think that is it for the colleges. I don't know if Malika or Danielle are here for any UMass Boston updates.
Hi, Hon. Yeah, I'm here. So for UMass, it's pretty quiet because ad drop for the regular session just ended on Monday, February 1st. But if you guys have students that are doing continuing ed like CAPS classes, they have until February, what's next week, Monday's date? February 8th to ad drop those courses. So if you have students that are starting later or students that maybe wanted to add a little bit more to their schedule, this is the ad drop week for CAPS classes. And then for all students, if they have a financial aid book advance, which is the old book voucher, Those will expire this Friday, so please encourage them to go to the bookstore, online to the bookstore, type in their ID number and use those funds. If they don't use them, they'll just go back to their bill as a refund. So long as they didn't drastically change their schedule during add drop for regular session courses. Aside from that, any other announcements were probably announced at the meeting that we had yesterday with Danielle. So if there were any questions about that, I would direct them to her. And that's all really for UMass.
Everyone, that just reminded me of something at Bunker Hill. So most of you know from our last meeting and some emails I've sent out that if a student failed all their classes last semester, or failed classes or got 0 credits, we do have the opportunity that their financial aid won't be sent back if they fill out a form through Bunker Hill. So they should have gotten an email in their self-service about this, and they have until February 20th. So please, if you had a student who failed or got a 0 credits for last semester, they are able to request that the financial aid be not held and they can use it again. So just a reminder.
Where's the form?
Pardon?
Where's the form?
They should have gotten it, Malcolm, on their self-service. They should have gotten a letter, but if you know that they have 0 credits or they failed, they have to substantiate it was COVID related, but it's a very loose, if someone in their family had COVID, if they couldn't get Wi-Fi because of losing their job that was COVID related, they can make a case that the reason they failed was a COVID related. But email me if you have a student and they can't find it or you can't find it, and I can help them with that.
Oh, okay.
Definitely get those in.
One other quick question on that. So I have a student who got an A- in one of her classes, but failed the other 3. Would she potentially be eligible for that?
Yes, I believe she would. I definitely ask about it if, and she can make the argument that there was a COVID related reason. Please do that. Thanks.
Quick question regarding that.
Yeah.
So if since the 9th is the payment due date, after that, classes get dropped, correct? If payment isn't made.
Talk to Student Central. Have your student get in touch with Mike at Student Central.
Okay.
And they'll put a hold. They won't drop it.
I emailed him 2 days ago, but he hasn't responded. I have 4 students who financial aid is still under review. So
I believe if it's under review, they won't be dropped.
Okay.
But I'll double check that and email you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. So next up on the agenda is our friend Norma Realicea, who is from Next Gen Talent. And she's going to be leading us through an update on her Navigator work. I think some of you might have attended last year's session, which was one of our last in-person sessions over at Freedom House. But Norma, take it away.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Nice to meet all of you. Some of you on here, I'm lucky to know Wanda is.
I think it's chopping up
because my internet is acting up a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's acting up a bit. Let's see if we can do something. So I have the slides, so I can share the slides, and maybe Norma, if you can turn off video and then just tell me when to go through the slides. And
sure.
You can do that. That might be the best.
No problem.
bear with me for a second and I'll start this. All right, can people see this? All right, cool. So I think Norma, you can go ahead.
Excellent. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Great. Okay. No, just wanted to say good morning and thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share this work with all of you. The last time I did a presentation like this was last week, and my co-host happened to be the dog of Wanda Montañez, who is on this call with us today. So I'll try to meet that standard again without him, but I don't know if that's possible. But anyway, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much again. And a tool that I have developed that may be of use to many of you in your work and the very important work that you do. So thank you for that. So Next Gen Talent, I founded it in 2018, so a few years ago. We are a career information and development service in Greater Boston, and our work really focuses on maximizing the payoff of post-secondary education.
I think we lost you. I don't know if other people are hearing the same. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear her.
Okay. So maybe I can go through this. I know I got this presentation pretty recently, so I'll try to do the best I can. I know Norma this is her work, so I'm not going to be as good as her in presenting this work, but we got to do what we can during these times, especially with unstable internet. I know I felt that yesterday on my end. But like Norma was saying, she founded this program, Next Gen Talent, a couple of years ago in 2018, not 3 years ago, which doesn't make sense to me. It's 2021. But a lot of the work that they're doing is really trying to support these young students who don't always have access to great career opportunities to figure out what is required to get into those positions, into those jobs that can really provide a sustaining family wage for them. And something they do is really try to provide some tools for career counselors and guidance counselors that they can use to support these students. So most of their work is really is aimed at the counselors. So it's not student facing necessarily. It's more for counselors or advisors like yourselves to support students. But I think Norma might be back. We'll see.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, you're back.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry, I was worried that this was going to happen. My internet's been very shoddy all day. I apologize for that.
No problem. I went through this slide at least for you. But,
okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So no, just what I wanted to say on this slide is just that what we do is we provide sort of more tactical evidence-based career guidance and tools to both counselors and students. And as Juan was saying, a lot of our work is with counselors directly, but we also provide some tools that are student facing. So next slide, please. Thank you so much. So I founded Next Gen Talent to address a problem that I saw all too often when I was a teacher in Jamaica Plain many years ago, and a problem that persists to this day. So for too many students, a college education isn't paying off. We see that over 40% of four-year college graduates fail to land a good first job, and 5 years later, most are still underemployed, meaning that they're working in a job for which they have a credential that's actually above what they need to work that job. So let's say they're working in a job that only requires an associate's degree really for most people, but they have a bachelor's. That's what we mean by underemployed. And low-income college graduates aren't seeing the same returns on higher education either, which is another problem. So low-income college graduates, we see from the research, earn half as much as their middle-income peers. Next slide, please. So we see the roots of this problem sort of in different places. One is the paths from college to career are not often clear or structured. So, we see, for example, that a lot of times students don't sort of understand very clearly what kinds of careers or, sort of like even alternate careers that they could use given what they've studied. It's just not very clear for them. And we also know that for many low-income high school and college students, a counselor, or you guys may call them a post-secondary or career coach or an advisor, or a guidance counselor. So we use the term counselor sort of very generally. A counselor is the person with the greatest influence on students' sort of ideas about their post-secondary and career options. Yet these counselors often don't have the information they need to help students, first of all, understand the range and payoff of different post-secondary paths, including things like apprenticeship. So one of the things that I saw when I was working with counselors around the country over the last 15 years or so is that they're pretty well-versed, and many of them very well-versed in how to advise students into things like liberal arts four-year college programs, but they don't understand as much about like, how would you advise a student into a carpentry apprenticeship with the city of Boston, for example, the union? How would you, advise someone to become a police officer, a firefighter, or even some of the more sort of professional degree programs like nursing? They're not as well equipped to kind of give information on how to become a strong candidate and what those kinds of things lead to. There also is a lot of information around the labor market. So there have been a lot of efforts around the country, especially in the last 5 years, I'd say, to make labor market, sort of local labor market trends and in-demand careers more sort of apparent to people and counselors and college students and things like that. The problem is a lot of people are not using the data, and it can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of sort of lingo around the labor market that's not easily understandable to counselors, much less students. And so one of the things that we do is provide some tools around local labor market literacy so students can understand like what jobs are in demand in Boston, what are they paying, what's the education that you need to get into them, that kind of thing. And then finally, we know that low-income students often don't have access to diverse professional networks, especially in a wide range of industries, with the power to connect them to internships and good first jobs. And that's the key piece here, is that, a lot of times we hear people talk about, oh, low-income students or underserved students don't have social capital. Well, of course they have social capital. The issue is, does that social capital actually have the power to connect them to good first jobs, right? And to the kinds of opportunities that help them land those jobs, like internships. And this is actually a really important point, especially given the pandemic, because now more than ever, people are leaning on sort of who they know and who those people know, instead of just like sheer, knowledge and skill sets that they have, right? It's even more important now. Next slide, please. Excellent, sorry, give me a second. Can you all hear me? Sorry, I'm having some issues with my.
Yep.
Okay, great. So to address these challenges, Next Gen Talent transforms the field's approach to post-secondary and career counseling, making it more evidence-based and tactical. So what we do is we actually don't provide these services publicly. We partner with a number of high schools and also college access and success organizations to deliver sort of career-related services that begin in high school and continue through college into that all-important good first job. On this slide, you can see a number of our partners. I saw that Sarah is on the call too from Brooke. She's one of our partners, the PIC. Very excited to have all of these partners with us, and that list is growing over time. And what our partners do is that they incorporate our tools and our services into their either their post-secondary and career advising services and or their curriculum. So they might have lesson plans or classroom activities where they incorporate our tools. Next slide, please. Thanks. So again, we've developed several tools and services for these partners, including a directory of career-focused post-secondary programs and a career exploration and networking platform, local labor market literacy reports, et cetera. Today, I'm happy to give you actually an overview of one of our tools, which is called Navigator. You can read about our other tools and services on this slide and then the following slide on your own time, since I know we're strapped for time. But I'm really excited to actually give you a little bit of a demo today. So before I do that, I just wanted to stop here. I know that was a lot of information, and ask if anyone has any questions for me.
Can we get a copy of your slideshow? Is this being recorded?
It's being recorded, yeah, but I'll let Norma answer about the slides.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. No problem. I will send that to Juan, and then you feel free to send that out, Juan.
Got it. Thank you.
If you don't mind. Sure, absolutely. Any other questions before I jump in to the demo? Now, the only thing is I will have to share my screen for this one, if that's okay.
That should be good. I made you co-host, so you should have capabilities to do so.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me see how I can do this. Thanks everyone for your patience here. Great. Can everyone see my screen now where it says Next Gen Talent?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So I wanted to sort of delve into this a little bit and show you my tool because it's easy to explain, but it's hard to sort of imagine, right, without looking at it directly. But I wanted to talk very briefly a little bit about what makes Navigator unique. So Navigator is an online it's the first of its kind tool in the country, as far as we know, a labor of love for me, honestly. And part of the reason that I developed it was because when I was a teacher, actually, when I worked with Wanda many years ago, I worked with a lot of college access and success counselors and saw that, you know, oftentimes when they would give advice to students around post-secondary programs and options, again, there wasn't enough information out there about the programs, especially around things like program outcomes. And for me, it was especially important working with mostly low-income students like I was when I was growing up, that they understand this idea of return on investment, right? So like they put all of this work and time and effort into these programs, and oftentimes a lot of money, or, you know, get into debt for them. And then I wanted to make sure that once they get out, they have a job that can pay their bills, right? And pay off their loans. And so I had always dreamed of creating a tool like this. And finally now, after many years, was able to. I did also want to mention a few things that make it unique. Another thing is that it provides a very wide range of career-focused post-secondary program information for people like you who work with students, a very wide range. So we're thinking about anything from, like, let's say the surgical technology program at Bunker Hill Community College, to probation officer training through the civil service exam that you have to take for that, to a nursing program at UMass Boston, to a community-based organization program like the one at the AACA. I don't know if any of you know the facilities maintenance tech program in Chinatown, a great program called Beams, Year Up, those kinds of programs. We have all of that in here. And again, from a wide range of industries. So I mentioned a lot of healthcare, but there's a lot of other stuff in here too: mechanical engineering, auto tech, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that I put this together was I did sort of a combination of labor market research, so I could provide information on things like wages attached to these programs, and also online research about the programs, but also multiple interviews with each program. So whether it was with program directors or representatives or department chairs at schools, to get really kind of like inside information on the programs that you couldn't just get off of their website. So I should say Navigator is a searchable online directory of now over 110 plus career-focused post-secondary programs in the greater Boston, sort of Massachusetts area. It's not a publicly accessible website. We provide it to our partners. And what it does is provide detailed information, again, you can't get publicly on a wide range of technical and professional programs. One of the things that makes it so unique is that this detailed information includes information like program outcomes. So program completion and job placement rates would be one, starting wages of graduates, tips for admission, and things like keys to success in the program. Navigator also shows target occupations and Boston metro area wages for them. So we have a ton of information in here. As you can see, we've created this sort of filter feature so that you could type in, for example, if I wanted to type a keyword search, I could type in nursing and it would pop up any program that has that word in it. You could also, let's say a student says they're interested in health professions, but not sure exactly which profession specifically, then that you could, filter through this career area to find those. You can also filter by level of credential or degree offered, the name of the degree, organization type. So you'll see here if I scroll, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Hello?
We can see it.
Okay, great. You can see here by organization type, and then you can also actually filter by the median salary that a student would earn once they graduate, sort of an approximation once they graduate from that program. So any questions about the filter feature?
No.
Everyone's so
So-
shy today. What's going
Oh,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm confused. You say health professions. So there's so many professions in there in the healthcare. So how would you know? I guess I'm confused about how you search it. So you just put health professions, which is very general. Like, what about if you want to search for specific program within the healthcare
Right.
system?
Right. So you could type in nursing, for example, in this keyword, and then it would pop up all of the programs related to nursing. So some of them will be nursing specifically. So you'll see them here. But then some of them, if they mention nursing, so they're semi-related, those will pop up as well. So you can type by keyword, or you could type. So let's say you have a student, right, who says, you know, I'm interested in business, like working in business, but I don't really know what kind of job or what kind of program. That's what this filter is for. Then you could
Okay.
you could do business and finance, you know, or architecture or whatever. And then once you choose that, it will show up, you know, it will show all of the things related to that in that career area. But you can always search by a specific occupation if you'd like up here.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that
And
helpful?
then you can just click on it and you get all the information that you need.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So you just have to hit enter after you type in the keyword or the
Okay.
career area or whatever. And you can filter by all of these different things and multiple things at the same time.
Okay.
Yep. Excellent. Anyone else? Great. Okay, so then I will jump in and show you, speaking of which, so one great program that we have in here is we have a lot of BFIT programs in here. BFIT was great in our interviews, but you know, I'll just show one of the community colleges here. So Mass Bay, for example, it's Automotive Technology Associate of Science program. We interviewed them. I should mention to you before I show you the profile that there is a print button here. Again, like this is meant to be used by counselors primarily, although we are going to pilot test using it with students directly. But the idea was kind of to have this be an advising sort of help support to you while you talk with students, either one-on-one or in a group setting about these kinds of things. But this print button is something that you can use and then just give that information to the students. It will print everything on this screen. So you'll see here that we've kind of organized this information in categories. These are the filters up here. You can always click on the program website to get directly to their webpage. But you can see we have some data, outcomes data right up front, like acceptance rate, graduation rate. I've written a program summary because I don't know how many of you are familiar. I'm sure too many of you are familiar with the fact that oftentimes programs like their websites, they don't explain the program very well, or there's a lot of jargon, or it's just very confusing. Sometimes you don't even know what kind of job you'd get graduating from that program. And so I myself just wrote a very simple sort of summary of these things so that it's more understandable. And then if you click here on expand all, you'll see a lot of different information organized in these buckets. So program details, you can see things like the length of the program, whether there's public transportation or dorms offered. The admissions process, which we have fleshed out a lot more oftentimes than you'll see actually on the website. So when you can first apply, program admissions, suggestions for applicants. This is kind of information that we had to get from interviews with the programs. And so this is kind of inside information, some tips on like what should applicants do to make themselves stronger candidates, things like acceptance rate, you know, wait list information, program costs and financial aid, median loan debt of graduates. Some programs don't track that. So you'll see there it says not tracked, but some do. Things around support services and efforts around diversifying their student body, any career services they offer. And then we have demographics information on actual students in the program, things like keys to success, program retention and graduation rate. And then here's all the employment and transfer outcome information. So you'll see the target occupation. So it's very clear what kind of kinds of jobs could your students get when they graduate from this program? What are some other sort of like more specific job titles? Employment rate, you'll see here, it's 99%. It's very high. It's a very strong program in terms of job outcomes. And then actual names of employers that have hired recent program graduates. And then we tie everything back into wages, right? So the program reported to me, this is the starting pay of graduates of this program. Again, this is a 2-year program. So that's a great great starting pay. And then we actually tie it into BLS information on Boston metro area wages. And then other information like how many go on to higher education, what would they study? And then any additional information that I wanted to add in here to explain anything that didn't fit neatly into the other buckets. And then finally, the contact information. So this is a person that I interviewed to get this information. So you can see it's a lot of information, and we think that it's something that could be very useful to you as you're advising students, especially around some of these, like, again, these are career focused programs, right? You're not going to find things like a history major at UMass Boston in here. These are all career focused programs. So any questions before I show you another one?
So you list the name of the person that you contact.
Yes.
So if we give that number to students, if they call that person, will they be able to speak to them, or just how does that work?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't give them the number of that person in particular. You still would have to deal with mostly the admissions folks when you talk with these, because that's, again, why this is more of a counselor facing tool. It's not so much directly for students. I just list that there so you can see who I interviewed for the program. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes you will talk with that person, but I wouldn't give that information directly to the student. You'd want to use the general contact info for the program, which will be on their website, which we have a link to right there, as I showed you at the top of the page.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Excellent. So I'll show you another one if that's okay. And I kind of have a small little quiz for you. How many of you are familiar with UMass Lowell's nursing program? Like very familiar?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so yeah, and so I know a little bit about it. I knew that it's a very strong program. It's considered one of the strongest we have. It's a great program, very, very competitive. So you'll see here, we have a lot of nursing programs in here because nursing, as you all know, is always sort of a high demand, occupation in this city, especially, pays very well, has great benefits. It sort of meets all of the, sort of qualifications for what we consider a good first job. So we have a ton of programs in Navigator that are nursing, Bachelor of Science, and you'll see here that we have UMass Lowell's. So I will show you very quickly the profile for them. You can see the acceptance rate is 10%. It's a highly, highly competitive program. And you'll see here for admissions, right here. So a lot of times, if you look at their website, they'll say, a lot of nursing programs out here will say things like, to apply, an applicant should have at least a 3.4 or 3.5 GPA, for example, right? What do you all think is so one of the things that I always say is that if I were a counselor and I wanted to really give my student targeted advice, I wouldn't want to just know what the minimum GPA is to apply to the program. I'd want to know from that program, what is the typical GPA of someone who gets into the program, right? That's like much more helpful advice because that's really closer to what the student needs to have. What do you think that is for a program like UMass Lowell, the typical GPA of a student that gets in?
I would go with 4.0.
That's correct. It is 4.0. Yep. And so you see here, have a very high GPA near 4.0 and a strong background in science and math. So even if their website were to say the 3.5, when you're talking with students, you really need to let them know, hey, most people that get into this program have a 4.0, right? So that's the kind of information that we get from our interviews that you wouldn't get from their website. And then you'll see, again, we have all of the various kinds of information here about them and all the links to, again, to wages in Boston, so the students have some idea, right? Excellent. And then finally, I just wanted to show you very quickly that we also have things like, you may have students who are interested in becoming police officers, or looking for or firefighter training or probation officer training. We have that kind of thing also in Navigator. So you'll see here, again, same kind of information. This talks a lot about the police academy, obviously. Probation officer, there isn't a training for that per se. At first, you have to take a civil service exam, so we talk all about that exam. But you can see we have a lot of different kinds of programs in here. And finally, I'll show you, and this was kind of like a big deal because again, most high school counselors, coaches are not as aware about how to advise students into things like union apprenticeships. And so Navigator is the first tool of its kind in our area that has all of the major apprenticeships, the union apprenticeships in its database. So I'll show you, for example, so see, I'm keyword searching. You can see here, this is the Local 103 Electrician's Apprenticeship, a very competitive, one of the best in the country. And you can see here all of the information. What was really nice about this was I was able to speak with all of the training directors, and they gave me some really great information on what to do to make someone more competitive when they apply. So for example, one thing I'll tell all of you is that a lot of times apprenticeships will ask if you have a car, because oftentimes to get to training sites, you really need to have a car, because it might be, you know, one day it might be in Cape Cod, another day it'll be in Boston, another day it'll be in Woburn, you know, it all depends. And one of the things that they all said to me was, if we ask an applicant during the interview, if they get to that point, do you have a car? Tell them not to say no, even if they don't have a car. Tell them they need to figure it out, and just by the time they get into the program, just figure it out. However you get there, spaceship, whatever it is, just don't say you don't have a car, because for a lot of these, that's already an automatic, like, we can't, you know, it's just not something that we can trust that you can attend consistently. So things like that, you know, they've given me advice on things like videos on their website that and what they should study specifically, all those kinds of inside tips that you could never get if you just looked on their website. So anyway, that's pretty much it. You know, again, I wanted to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to demo this, and happy to answer any final questions you may have for me about it.
Thank you, Norma. I think I know our friend Sarah Holden from Brook. She had to leave early, but she loves this tool. She uses it with her students, and it's been very useful for her. I think being able to access this information, especially like the acceptance and graduation rates for these programs, I think is really useful. Especially like when you look at certain colleges, it gives you the overall acceptance rate and graduation rate for the entire thing. But I don't know if it ever breaks it down to as specific as this. So I think
no, definitely doesn't. Right.
It's really, really useful for my end at least.
Yes, thank you.
Also,
you said
can
you
I
are
just
going to email this, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Malcolm. Hi, Malcolm. Hi, Norma.
Hi.
I love this. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate like the reality that's built into it. It's not like just giving general information and having students think that, like you said, the example with the nursing program, how competitive these programs really are and what they really do need to qualify to get in, especially with the apprentice programs. I've had so many students try to get into, and I mean, I've walked them through the process. It just seems like the acceptance rate is so low. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it seems like you need to know someone directly linked to the programs in order to get, you know, have a student actually be accepted into it. So it's good that you know, really have that detailed, realistic information so that we can really share realistic information with our students.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I mean, of course, networking, you know, knowing people never hurts, but I think a lot of it, to be honest, and that was really helpful for you to say that. I think, to be honest, you know, some of it is like some of these inside tips are things that if you're already in the industry or your family is, you kind of know these things, you know what to say in an interview, you already know something about the field, because there are a lot of apprenticeships that have also said to me, you know, it's really helpful if someone can come in and say, hey, I know what this tool is, or I researched this online and let me talk to you about it. You know, there are certain things that, you know, if it's, you know, because a lot of apprenticeships are also family type things, right? Like, or trades careers. A lot of times, like I've met a lot of female plumbers and in Boston through some of the work that I've been doing. And a lot of them, like my dad was a plumber, you know, and so if you don't have that, you know, then you don't know the lingo, you don't know how to talk about it, that makes it difficult. And I think Navigator helps to give some of that information to students when they're applying.
Thank you, Norma. I think we have, Teresa, you can get the last question. No. Okay.
Hi, Norma.
Hi.
Thank you. It seems like it's gonna be really helpful. But I'm trying to get to the search bar. How do I get there? I'm on the website.
Oh, so it's not a publicly accessible website. So it's not something, so if your organization wants to partner with us, then what we would do is give you like login credentials. So you'd have your username and password, and then you'd get in and then you'd be able to use it that way. So if any of you are interested in becoming a partner, please feel free to contact me. My contact info is on the last slide of the presentation. So yeah, it's not a publicly, I wish that's my ultimate dream, to be honest, is that it could be I feel like this information should actually, every student in the city deserves to have this. But just because of obviously the work that it requires to put this together and trying to build this out, I would need more funding to be able to make this something that I could share with everyone.
Okay.
But for now, if that's what you're interested in, then please do email me and I'm happy to talk with you about a partnership.
All right, thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Norma. All right, so next up we have Alberto Jaimes from JVS. And Alberto, do you have anybody else who's presenting? or
Yes.
just you?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberto. Hey, Kelly. Yes. So I have my other colleagues, Julie, Gisabel, and also Gail, that's one of the VIP United Way, is joining us today. And we are so excited to bring you up to our initiative in the community college. So again, I would like to present the PowerPoint. You want to put the PowerPoint one, or
I can do it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to? Great. So, as I mentioned, my name is Alberto. I'm working for an organization called JBS, Joint Vocational Services. And we start partnering with another organization, IVA, Inquilinos Boricuas por Acción, maybe a year ago, doing this partnering, bring this opportunity, a new initiative with Bunker Hill and Roxbury Community College. We are now so excited that the city last week allow us to extend our service to all those students that are participating in this Success Boston College initiative that you right now you are. So can you next one? So this is kind of our objectives for today, is kind of give you a current status and bring you up to, bring you all to speed with our initiative and discuss our possible efforts of integration. So this initiative is called CCVI, that means the Community College Credit Building Initiative. So we are here to enable participants or all the students to learn the basics of credit, help them to improve their financial skills, and at some points, help them to gain control of their finances. That's kind of our mission here. Next, please. So this is our logo. And then as you see, all the partners that we are in the bottom, Boston Business Credit, Roxbury Community College, Bunker Hill, Inquilinos Boricuas por Acción, City of Boston, and JBS. Next. So now I would like to introduce my other colleague, Gisabel. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for not having my video on. Zoom keeps turning it off. But my name is Jezebel Soto, and I work for Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, and I am one of the financial coaches on the Community College Credit Building Initiative team. And so here I'm just going to talk about what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. So what we do is we provide one-on-one financial coaching sessions to, it used to be Bunker Hill Community College and Roxbury Community College students, but like Adalberto said, we are now able to expand to other colleges, still Bostonians though. So we provide one-on-one financial coaching sessions, and we also do webinars. Why do we do it? Credit building provides a powerful tool to help individual families and small businesses take control of their financial lives and build wealth. And how do we do this? By doing the one-on-one financial coaching sessions and also the webinars. So we were doing the webinars weekly at Bunker Hill and at Roxbury Community College. So these are just some of the services that we offer. On the left, these are some of the workshops that we do. So what is your money personality, spend for success, and budgeting. We talk about credit, give financial tips. Our most recent ones are the student loans and understanding your taxes, and then leasing or buying a vehicle. And then on the right, it's our roadmap of what the one-on-one financial coaching sessions look like. So these are just some of the things that we talk about with the students in these coaching sessions. And then how can we help the students? These are just some of the things. that we discuss with the students and help them with. So we take a look at their credit report, help them manage their credit cards. If they don't have credit, help them build credit or increase their credit score. We take a look at their budgets, help them reduce their debt and increase their savings. We also help them develop and maintain healthy financial habits. We go over SMART goals, and we take a look at that throughout the coaching sessions that we do with them. So those are just a couple of the things that we do with the students.
So Dennis, so I just want to inform the information about the webinar list is provided to everyone. All the students that join us, welcome. The one-on-one services is just only for students that reside in Boston. That is a little kind of caveat in this program, that we allow us to one-on-one services, the coaching services, just for only who are living in Boston. So I would like to continue with the next slide and introduce my other colleague, Jolie.
Thank you, Adalberto. Thank you, Juan. I'm going to present the following 3 slides. And I do want to thank Kate for inviting us. As Adalberto mentioned at the start of this program last year, we mainly partner up with Bunker Hill and Roxbury. And now we're expanding our services to all the colleges and all the community colleges in Boston. That's my understanding. So if any of these coaches on this meeting, and you do have any of the students that in mind that will be benefit from our program, either talking about financial literacy or have any basic personal finance concept, feel free to contact us and send them to our way. I think there's a short video there. Adalberto, does the video play? Okay. All right, it's actually a picture. I didn't know that. So as Jezebel mentioned, in our one-on-one financial coaching, we start actually with understanding the students. So their financial goal or their life goals are super important. So in that way, we can kind of, get to know them and let them find their beacon, so that we know when we start planning for their future, no matter it's short-term, mid-term, or long-term goals, we can kind of help them to set the action plan. And another thing we do with our students are we do pull their credit reports, because I don't know how many of the coaches in this meeting know your credit score. That's one of the questions I do ask my students when I meet them. And that's kind of reflect their, personal finance history. And in case they do have any credit kind of questions, and they do have questions of credit cards, which I come across a lot of times, we're here to help them. All right. So our title are financial coaches, but I always call myself money buddy. So our slogan is really, let's talk about money. So anything related to money, no matter it's income, no matter it's, debt or credit cards, we're here for them. All right. And another thing we do talk in our coaching sessions is creating a spending plan, because again, according to my experience, we all know where we do want our money goes, right? Like we have this goal, buying a car, buying a house, but we don't know where is the money goes now. So what we do is setting up a spending plan, or just take a snapshot to see where the money goes now. All right. And after we see the picture of our students' finance, we normally give some, providing some resources, information, or tools to either help them increase their income or lower their expenses. So in that way, we kind of provide the instant help or assistance to, I would say, increase their finance a little bit better. Sometimes it's just, as simple as MBTA use pass, $30. But my student told me if they spend $90, I was like, you are, within that threat, like, 25 years old, and you are living in one of the cities, why spend the $60 more? Okay. And also we do have any other similar tools to help them lower the expenses as well. And also we help them create the action plan, because sometimes all the coaches know whenever it comes to the goals, it's just something in the middle of the year, all right? Like they really need someone kind of tap on their shoulder, say, hey, do you have an action? What have you been done? So I think, again, as a role, we are really like their body, tapping on my shoulders, how are you doing? Do you have any obstacles or difficulties, and how could we assist you? And again, we don't really think we know much better than students, because nowadays with fintech, with all the apps, some of them know much more better than us. But again, we're here just to, as I would say, like a partner or companionship, to expose them to the financial literacy world or to personal finance. And that's pretty much. Any questions for this slide or what's covered in one-on-one? If not, I think we can go to next slide. Thank you, Juan. Okay, so the ideal students that to be referred to us, as you guys can see, they're like 4 kind of criteria, but I would say do not just kind of constrained by those. We're happy to accommodate, and we try to be inclusive. So if you do think any of the students do have any banking problems or banking questions, feel free to send them to our way, all right? And secondly, as I mentioned in the last slide, if they do have credit cards or debt or personal loan questions, feel free to send them to our way. We're happy to talk about it, and maybe we can, potentially help them to find a better options to pay off their debt, because we all know debt could be, stressful. And some of my students even have student loans, and I'm happy to either talk about it or provide resources to, pay off their student loans, or kind of set up a strategy or plans to, to tackle all these kind of stressful adult topics. All right. And the next one is money management and savings. That's actually one of the questions I was asked a lot. How can I save more? So again, my role or our role as financial coaches are really kind of polish their questions, say how, instead of saying or asking, how can I save more? It's like, why you want to save more? What's the dollar value you want to save? And when do you want to save that much money? So we just kind of open that topic and try to set up the plan with them, and hopefully to kind of assist them to achieve their financial and life goals. And last but not least, a lot of our students do have these goals to buying a house or condo, or even start their business, or maybe again pay off student loans. Those are the things we can all talk about. If anything, they have very specific questions, we're happy to kind of just try to assist, try our best to be inclusive as well. And we do have some requirement, because I know this is Success Boston meeting, so most of your students will be within Boston, within that geographic kind of condition, so I wouldn't repeat that. But I do want to mention, when we're talking about low income, there actually is a threshold, which is within one person household, the annual income will be under $62,450, all right? Actually, it's pretty high. Most of the students I come across in, either attending Bunker Hill or Roxbury, they are definitely within the range, so you don't have to worry too much. Or if you hear or your student accepting, or they have Mass Health or SNAP benefit, they're definitely within the range. So do not worry too much about that threshold for the time being. And also, if you do have students that are out of scope who are not Bostonians, they are another financial opportunity center that we could refer them to. So I don't want them feel like they're out of range. They don't have enough resources. People help them out. They are. So Roxbury and Quincy, they both have facilities to assist those students as well. I think that's pretty much about my slide. That one as well, Alvaro, or this one? Okay, so what we do and we don't, I try to be quick about this one. So we do pull credit report. A lot of times we'll ask whether that will have an impact on my credit score. This will be a soft inquiry, so there will be no impact on the credit score whatsoever. And another thing I mentioned this before, we're creating a spending plan or tools online with our students, and also we do share those tools, resources, informations with our student. Just whatever they need, all right? And also we do try to set up this long-term relationship, because we all know their career could change, their course could change, their aid could change, their, under pandemic, their living situation could change. So we are here for them, just to let them know whenever they have, financial difficulties or they have questions, we are here for them. But there are some constraints that what we don't do is, when it comes to financial aid, we actually don't help them to fill out the FAFSA application. I was asked a lot because people or students student confused with, financial coach with the financial aid team, but I'm happy to refer them to the financial aid team so that don't make them feel like they got rejected from us. I'm happy to provide the tools or connect them with the services in the college. And also we don't provide investment or tax advices because it's getting very personal and also it's out of the scope, all right? And the third thing is we don't really provide legal aid or advices for, as you can see. I'm not going to go through that, but we do, I'm pretty sure actually, especially at JBS Boston, which I work for, we do have a legal team that we could potentially refer our students to. So if they do have legal questions, I'm happy to kind of refer them to one of our attorneys and hopefully their question will be answered properly. All right, and last things we don't do is, I'm pretty sure we don't providing those like housing assistance, but again, if they do have questions about those things or those topics, we're here for them and just to treat us or use us as a hub, all right, and we'll try our best to accommodate their questions. Any questions from the coaches in this meeting? If not, I'll pass back to Alberto.
Julie, I just want to give a shout out. So Julie has worked with us at Bunker Hill, and she establishes such good relationships with students. Once they see her once, they're very, very comfortable. She also acts as a resource, as she says on the slide, where she will make referrals. She works hand in hand with Single Stop that can help them. And when we were on campus, we invited Alberto and Julie to what we called our kickbacks. And I was really interested in how coaches were able to refer students. In one instance, a girl was just talking about she wanted to buy a car. So the coach brought her right over, and she didn't have a sense of what that involved, and that established the relationship, and she became a coaching mentor, a mentee to Julie. Also, if they got a new job, a coach might say, oh, have you been thinking about saving? Why don't you talk to this financial coach? And with a lot of our students, it might not be buying a condo or a house, but just moving out of home. I don't want to live at home anymore. How do you afford rent? What's the financial involvement with first, last month rent? So I can't say enough about their services. I think once we can get students connected, they are going to learn a lot of valuable resources. So I'm just giving a shout out. Glad to have them on board.
Thank you, Kate. You've been very supportive, and I'm looking forward to work with other coaches at Success Boston as well.
Great.
Thank you, Katie. So that is an introduction for our next slide. So this kind of brainstorming kind of time. We put in some questions there that we would like to kind of help us to frame our next 5 minutes to this conversation, and also invite him, Gail, that is one of the VP of United Way. So this is something students will be interested in. We would like to know how you guys operate in this virtual campus that right now we are. It is something that you as a coach consider as a valuable, like Kate just mentioned, to your work with the student. That will be the best way to what would be the best way to refer the students to this service, and then is what is the best way to reach them. So we would like to kind of chatting with you for the next few minutes and see what do you think.
I mean, I know when I was younger, I didn't have credit until I was like 20 something, 25 or something. So I think this would have been really useful for me as a young person. So I think our students would be very interested in it. And I know it's been very hard for students to access resources virtually, because like you mentioned, like back in when Julie, you were at Bunker Hill, it was easy to get connected to students. Like if you and Alberto were at the kickback, it was like, oh, well, just come over here and talk to this person. So it's a lot more natural. So it has to be more structured nowadays and facilitated. So I don't know if there's any coaches on who do you all have ideas on how we can help get students connected to this opportunity?
Well, I actually have a quick question. I guess just out of curiosity, and you may have mentioned it, do y'all work, I guess using like apps, like popular apps like mint.com? So do y'all work with students using the apps? Does that make sense?
Yes, we do. Julie and Isabel has the experience already to kind of sitting with the students and just log in and explain step by step those kind of information that they need to be aware when they work in that specific app that is meant. For those who don't know, MENT is one of the best ways to kind of tracking our budget. And I kind of like it a lot because they have a very interesting feature where they can text you when you kind of over them, kind of spend more the money that's supposed to as a goal that you have in the week. Also, we are planning to have something more from our house by coming in the next few months. More tools about that. But yes, we do, and we pull off to continue helping the students to bring more in that kind of information.
Yeah, Juan, I would also say this would be helpful for students. I know a lot of students are accepting credit cards and don't really understand the ramifications of credit and, how much interest they're being charged and, stuff like that when they should pay off their debt and how they should keep their debt to a certain, ratio, things like that that are important to manage the debt if you are going to get a credit card. I think that's one of the major things that could probably like attract them to a program like this, to learn how to manage their personal, debt that they already do have.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's true. So we have a few minutes more. So I just would like to kind of to get more information from you guys, how we could connect more with the student that you work with. And if you don't mind, Juan, the next slide. So we right now we offer these channels. We to sign up for the webinars. The students can go to that particular link that is our Facebook website, and they can find the list of the webinars that's I'm coming for the next weeks. Also, we have our webpage through the Boston Business Credit. So for the one-on-one coaching, we could use this kind of landing page where students or you can kind of help the student to fill out the information, and we got the information and we get in touch with them, or you can get in touch with Julie and Isabel. I will share this presentation with Juan, and also we have another kind of fact sheet where you can see the thank you, Juan. You can see those links as well in this kind of fact sheet. But before wrap up, I just want to get more sense. That could be the best way that will be a good work with all you, or any of you have any another best or another strategy that we could use that would be more efficient than that.
Alberto, I actually think this is great, man. I know since we've transitioned to like the whole virtual thing, I know on my end, like I actually like was wondering how to get back in contact with you guys to refer students and didn't know which way to go through. So I think even just letting us be aware of this goes a long way, especially like the one-on-one scheduling and the fact that you can text, because a lot of those times that'll allow us to do like soft handoffs to you after we have those conversations with our students. In that way we can like vouch for you, especially if we get the text, because then maybe we can even do maybe a small group text message between myself, my student, and then whoever the coach is that they would be working with. So that way the student just doesn't feel like in a sense that we're tossing them off to someone that they don't know, and they're like, well, this person's supposed to help me with my finances, I don't know yet, trust this person yet, how do I know this person's going to help me? So I think what you just provided with the one-on-one coaching and how to get in contact with you guys is one of the best ways, because with a lot of it, it's, you know, we can get students aware of these type of things, but sometimes it's the follow through, and like with some of these students, so those type of like being able to do these type of handoffs definitely would go a long way, I think.
Great. So do you have any specific like Google tips or something that you have with your students? Um,
I'll text, FaceTime, whatever it is with students. So that's like something like if you're trying to meet a student where they're at, and you know, student may be wary of a text, because I know sometimes I've gotten things like, you know, a student thought I was a bot, you know, a robot texting them at times, you know. So one recommendation I would have is even if you get a student in an email, maybe you guys can do like little video introductions to students. There was another coach on here, Chris Melly, she's done that, and you know, it definitely has worked wonders, and I've tried it as well, and it's worked wonders off of her recommendation. So that might be something you guys could try as well.
That's great. Thank you. That is one of the, I haven't thinking about it. So we will start working on that. That is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So I mentioned about Google Chat because we had the connections on with some of the folks to use the Google, but I don't know, you have other groups, or we can join the group, or you have any group like on Facebook, we can join as well, that particular group. We can as well, we can do it, but I don't know, you have more.
Yeah,
Awesome.
one other thought would be, I don't know whether you ever have any convenings of the students or, you know, group activities. We would be happy to offer a webinar, you know, about the programs, you know, tailored to the Success Boston community, if that would be of interest.
I think we could try to figure something out with that for sure. Maybe have some students sign up who are interested and then provide that. I think that's definitely possible. I know, Karen, you're about to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I definitely agree with the video idea. I found that to be really helpful. And if that's something, if you have like a quick video you could send to us as coaches, that way when we're referring students to be like, oh, would you be interested in the service? You can watch this 1-minute video and learn a little bit. And if you are interested, let me know and I'll get you like connected to them. I found that with Duet is a program I feel like we refer a lot of our students to, and the flexibility that they have in saying, like, we'll normally ask students, would you prefer that I have them email you or I have them text you, or do you want to reach out to them? Because I think some students, they might prefer if they get an outreach, or they might prefer to do it themselves when they're ready and they feel okay about it. So being able to provide those options and just stay flexible to a few different things is usually helpful, I've seen.
Sorry, one more thing I would say is I know you all are working with more students now, more than just Bunker and Roxbury. For this question in the name of the college where you have enrolled, would you be able to just add another option, put other or something, just so we can include some other students? But I think this is that I'll make sure to share this, all the links that you all have sent in the PowerPoint in our notes and in our email afterwards, because I think students nowadays, like Tamika was saying, more students are taking out credit cards, leaning on that to pay for things. And if they know the ramifications of that, that's going to be even more important to help them on there in the future.
Great, no, thank you, Juan. And again, this is, we just got it, the authorization last Friday, I believe, at 4:30 in the afternoon, where we just, okay, guys, you can work with those folks as well. Okay. So we're so excited. We just start that new step in our path.
Great.
Awesome.
One of the things we're going to do at Bunker Hill is this semester, when we do our virtual workshops, where the career ones, I've talked to Julie and Alberto of them popping into that. So the students will be there for the career workshop, but we'll somehow intertwine money and careers. So students will get a exposure to Julie and her face and what she does. And then hopefully, again, in the group setting, that might provide more students to go with them. So we're going to work on that at Bunker Hill.
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. We are working right now with the GR App organization, and we are focused right now to help them to be ready for this kind of partnership that they need to start working on. And we've kind of have some cases where the partner that they're planning to work with, they cannot accept them because they don't have good credit or something like that. So that's something that we would like to prevent and help the students to be ready for when they ready for start that particular internship with the partner.
Quick question. Do you guys work with undocumented students? I know undocumented students, they can have debit card, but I don't know about credit card. Do you guys work with them?
We work with students. We have students that are international. And those are the students that we've been working, and they kind of, if they have social security, if for some reason they are working at the school have to provide social security, they could ask access to build a credit immediately.
Yeah, we have no prohibitions on working with undocumented. We don't ask that question. So I would say the answer is yes.
That's great. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Alberto. And I will make sure to send all your contact information. And thank you, Jezebel and Julie, also for presenting. I think this is really great, useful information, especially like I know Kate was also talking about having students save money so they can move out into an apartment, and you have to have good credit to get an apartment. So like it's so many steps to become an adult. I've been recently learning. So I think this is very, very important. And the earlier you do it, the better. I know we have a few more minutes before we end. So I'm just going to go over a couple things preparing for next month's coaches meeting, which is going to be our meeting with the BU College Advising Corps. So that's actually going to be on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. So I'll make sure to send that calendar update soon, but just for everybody to have that on their calendar, it's going to be on March 2nd and a little bit later than usual. So it's going to be from 10:30 to 12:30 since we're trying to accommodate for everybody's different times. Something that we're thinking about doing is also having a little part of the meeting where we talk about a successful partnership between a coach and a CAC advisor. So does anyone here have a good relationship with a current CAC advisor where they're able to connect students and support them? I know there's a couple people maybe, but I'm not sure if people would be willing to do a little one-on-one, like what worked, what didn't work, and how other folks can build off of that.
Hi, Juan. This is Portia. I don't currently, but in the last, so not this year, but the last 2 years, I really did. And I think it's dependent upon the advisor and kind of the structure of the high school and what information they'd like to share. I think what has been most successful is really talking about individual students that Weston House is already serving, and even thinking about students that really need some added support, and focusing on those students rather than just like whole senior class. So that in the past I've seen be really helpful. And I will say those relationships were kind of, I guess, kind of indirect, like, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And we'll kind of share some information to make sure we can support the student. But I would love if there was a more, I guess, firmer, formal partnership.
Yeah, I know it's tough. Like you mentioned, Portia, it really depends on the advisor, right? And advisors are there for 1-2 years max, and then someone new. So it is tough. So I don't know if, sorry, did I cut somebody off? Grace Melly?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I thought it was helpful when in one of the meetings where we were put in breakout groups with all of the advisors that are with their respective groups. I feel like that was, yeah, I feel like that was really effective because I feel like prior to that, not to throw shade, but I think I had reached out to like a whole group of them and I never heard back from any of them until after we had that meeting and we were in the breakout groups with them. And then I ended up actually having like successful handoffs with students from English High. And it was off the strength of like me being a Spanish speaker, and that was like a high need. Like they needed the students' preferred language were Spanish. So that might be something that's like really particular, but I guess a way that we can like, in terms of moving forward, like transitioning and like the partnership and so forth, like maybe us thinking about the different strengths or like the different whatever aspects of us that we bring to the table and like how that may cater to like a particular population. And I know there's different things like surrounding location, like maybe West End House works with folks in Brighton and we work for folks in the high square with youth students in the high square area, but like, yeah, we all have different flavors that we bring. So maybe that's also an angle we can go when having this meeting with CSCA advisors.
For sure. I think that would be really useful too. I do know it's 11:30 and people might have meetings or just want to get up and not be on Zoom for a little bit. So I will stop now, but I'll make sure to send the notes afterwards. If people have questions, feel free to let me know. I'll stay on this just for a couple more minutes in case people do have questions. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Alberto, and everybody from JVS and Possibles Credit. And thank you all for sticking around. I will see you all next month. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, sorry, Troy. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying thanks. No worries, Portia.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Juan, for the opportunity. Bye.
No problem, or thank you.
Thanks, Juan, so much
Thank
for
you,
the.
Alberto.
I will send you the update of the fact sheet I sent you last week. I'm thinking about the video that you guys suggest and see how we can implement, put it in a template or something.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, guys.
Good one, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, well, I just had something really quick because Joel had a really good suggestion in the chat. And I know that it's lofty because he was talking about a guidance counselor rep from each school, which is like probably not going to happen, but that will be helpful for some schools. Because to his point, I mean, Catherine Chu is always on board, but I don't know if the individual counselors are on. I don't know. I don't feel it sometimes that they're necessarily.
I think I feel you.